And this is how your Rovers side will line up tonight with in goal number 1, Thomas Kaminski.
Hey.
3, Harry Pickering.
Hey.
4, Daniel Ayala.
Hey.
5, Dominic Hyam.
Hey.
6, Tyler Morton.
Hey.
10, Tyrese Dolan.
Hey.
16, Scott Wharton.
Hey.
17, Hayden Carter.
Hey.
19, Ryan Hedges. 22, Ben Brereton Diaz. And rounding off the Rovers 11 is number 27, the captain, Lewis Travis. Her Majesty served the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth with distinction. The thoughts of everyone at Rovers are with the royal family at this sad time. Today we pay tribute to Queen Elizabeth II and ask you to join us in observing a minute's silence in her memory, which will end with the national anthem and start on the referee's whistle. Over the scoring for Rovers, number 19, Ryan Hedges!
Getting into the box here.
He looks more black. Not sure if I can say that. Yes! Yes!
Rovers substitution replacing
to the back six.
Ryan Hedges, 22 Ben Brereton Diaz, is 14 George Hurst and 15 Clinton Mola.
It's gone to a back six.
Peter Jackson, the jeweller, player of the match, goes to number 19, Ryan Hedges.
Straight down. You don't want any clap. They're always shit London clubs when they come here, other than Fulham.
You always say that.
It's true though. Touching you! Sweet Caroline of the blues. Times never seem so good. No Travis slow clap today. Things you'd love to see. Rovers,
Rovers back to winning ways tonight, 2-0 victory over Watford. Let's take a look at what's happened elsewhere, up and down the country.
So, a 2-0 win at home, a home victory that has been kind of overdue, really. It's good to get back to winning ways at Ewood, and hopefully we can have more of those and make it a bit of a fortress again. Absolutely dominated that game from start to finish, to be honest. They come out looking sharp the first 10 minutes, did Watford, but I think obviously going in 1-0 down at half time, that was always going to kind of happen. But even towards the end, like, they didn't really pile the pressure on at all. We saw the game out with ease, to be honest. It's a statement victory, that, for me. You know, they're a team that didn't come into that game with good form, but neither did we. And, you know, we've come out with the win, looking like we're going places really after that. You know, they're a team that were sixth going into today, one position above us, and completely played them off the park, to be honest with you. Really, really impressed. I think that is probably, other than Britain maybe at right wing back, I'd say that could well be our strongest 11. But even then, Carter was brilliant tonight, so you could put a case in for him even, you know, playing at right wing back over Britain. Not that that will happen, because it won't, but you could quite easily make that case, in my opinion. Just really happy, to be honest. I don't know really what more to say than that. You know, Hedges getting his first goal for the club along with Hyam. What a finish from Hyam. That is probably the best goal I've seen from a centre-half in my time watching Rovers over the past decade or so. I can't think of a finish off the top of my head from a centre-half what was as good as that. Kind of Derek Williams come to mind, but he was playing at left-back in League One when he hit one from like 30 yards out, and that was a good finish. But obviously, Derek Williams probably more of a centre-half than a left-back. I think we can all agree with that. But yeah, brilliant. I mean, I was happy to see Sarr go off. He didn't really do much, to be honest, whilst he was on the pitch, but he is one of those players, if he gets a chance, you wouldn't want him on the end of it, because you would expect the net to bulge. And it were one of those games where I was constantly on edge thinking, you know, if they get a chance, they're just going to take it, because they have still got, you know, quality players at their disposal, but you got to think their manager now will be under a bit of pressure. You would think if there's a couple more losses in the next few, he will go. We know how obviously gung-ho Watford are with their, managerial appointments and whatnot, sackings and stuff. But it's great to be third again. I mean, so many fans getting on the back of the team and the manager and whatnot after some of the recent results. But I think it's just so premature. Like I said in some of the previous reactions I've done to games, like where we find ourselves is, would anyone have expected this after 9 games? Not at all. I think, obviously most people were thinking it'd be a mid-table finish, with obviously Thompson coming in, whatnot, a season of transition. And we find ourselves third after 9 games. What is it? Five wins and 4 losses. We carry on that trend of 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss. What isn't ideal, but if we can start turning some of those losses obviously into wins, then, and now that we've obviously got Scotty Wharton coming back in today, who looked as solid as ever, and that back line looked so much better today. It was resolute from start to finish. There was just one blip, which was brought upon from ourselves really right at the end of the first half, where Scott Wharton heads it back and Chowdhury nearly scored, but Kaminsky had to make a save. But other than that, Watford didn't threaten at all. They scored an offside goal, but that is literally it. And Watford probably have one of the best front lines in the league. They've still got João Pedro, Ismail Sarr, 2 players who together probably are worth 50 million minimum, you would think. I know obviously Sarr went off, but they've still got an abundance of riches. I think like in Dirk's preview, it was their squad value is double what ours is, which really puts it into terms. And obviously this is a team at the end of the day that were playing in the Premier League last season. So for them to come to our ground, and London teams generally, as a rule of thumb, don't do well coming up to Ewood, and as a rule of thumb, we are usually quite crap going down to London, to be honest. So I were expecting a positive result from tonight, to be honest, and I'm just glad we did it. Obviously that rule of thumb obviously doesn't apply to Fulham going off last season, but any other London teams, it seems, just don't generally do very well coming to Ewood. The fans didn't make a noise all game other than the offside goal, which they scored. But fair play to those who did travel. The couple hundred that were there. Obviously, it's a long journey back on a Tuesday night, to be fair to them. Not a journey I'd be willing to make on a Tuesday night. But no, brilliant. Really happy with that. Going to the next game against Luton, somewhat of a bogey team for us if it goes ahead. And go into it with a bit of confidence. I'd take a draw right now going into Luton. Like I said, a bogey team for us, and also a team down there in London. It's going to be a long journey for the lads. And I'd take a 1-1 draw right now, to be honest with you. It is a nasty game, Luton away at Kenilworth Road. So let's hope we can see it out. But and just to harp onto the fact that, I think Scott Wharton, Hyam and Ayala just look such a solid back three. I was really happy with that dynamic tonight. It just looked so much more solid there, but also in the midfield, having Travis in the midfield as opposed to right back. Each of those centre halves, you can expect a 7, 8, if not 9 out of 10 performance from each and every one of them, game in, game out, and it just looked really solid, that back three. You partner that with Travis in midfield, who was back to his best tonight, in my opinion, breaking up the play like he needs to, and when there's only 2 men in that midfield, you need your midfielders to be so high tempo, active, getting about like they do, so else you get overrun, which we saw last season under Mowbray. That 5-2-3 was definitely one of the worst formations, probably the worst formation I've seen since I've watched Rovers. That 5-2-3 we played under Mowbray for that run of from January to April or whatever it was, and we were just absolutely abysmal, just getting out running the park each and every game. Hull away springs to mind as the first of many poor performances with that 5-2-3. But it just looked completely different today. It was brilliant, assured at the back, but also going forwards looked really threatening. Hedges' goal, the build up to that goal was absolutely brilliant and is probably a sign of things to come, with that one touch quick into passing and getting on the break, and then a nice little pass from Dolan. That's two assists and one goal in a game and 20 minutes, a game and 30 minutes, however long he came on against Bristol. He looks really, really good at the minute, Ty. So fair play to him. A good goal from Hedges, his first for the club, and hopefully many more to come. Another standout player this season. And then with Hyam, it's a really inspired finish. That I don't know where he's pulled that out from, but brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I mean, going through that team, Diaz was quiet tonight, but it was a good job he was quiet tonight when we didn't really need him. Obviously, we got goals from elsewhere. Rather than be more active when we're struggling, we're up against it, and we need that goal from Diaz. Hedges tonight, I'd probably give him an 8 out of 10. There was a really good ball he put through in the second half for Diaz down the left-hand channel, and unfortunately there was no one there in the box to support him, so he had to shoot. But what a brilliant measured pass it was, really well weighted through ball, and he just oozes class, Ryan Hedges. He was played down the middle tonight and he was out on the right at times. Just wherever he is, he just looks a constant threat and is basically a new signing for us after how little he featured under Mowbray last season. Ty, another assist for him. So I'd probably give him a 7-8 out of 10. Probably an 8 out of 10. I think it'd be a bit cruel not to give him a 7. To not give him an 8 rather. Morton and Travis, 2 8 out of 10s again, I think. Morton passing the ball really well, or knocking it around, and Travis getting stuck in, and they both just commanded that midfield really, really well. And I can't see how Buckley gets back into this midfield now, unfortunately for himself, because they've proven they can control that midfield with 2 in there. Watford even moved from a 5 at the back to a 4-3-3 in the second half, I believe, and we still didn't really struggle in that midfield battle, which is a testament to how good Morton and Travis were. Carter, Ayala, Hyam, and Wharton, I'd give them all, I'd probably give Hyam a 9 maybe for the finish and just for the brilliant defensive display. A couple of times you just saw what he did and you just thought he is so solid. He is a solid championship player and exactly the kind of signing we needed to make after losing Lenihan. And for the other 3, Carter, Ayala and Wharton, I'd probably give them 8s. All very solid. Didn't really put a foot wrong all game, other than maybe for Scotty with, the Chowdhury chance. But I think that was a bit of a lack of communication on his part with Kaminsky. Probably give Kaminsky a 7, and I'd probably give Pickering a 7 as well. Don't think either of them had their best games, but neither put a foot wrong either in too many regards. But there were a couple of times where I was a bit on edge. But all in all, a performance, worthy of beating Watford, a performance worthy of being in 3rd position. Hopefully we can, keep that gap between us and Dingles down the road. Obviously they drew, what a surprise, with Preston, the draw specialists that are Preston. And yeah, hopefully we can keep this up. I foresee a really tough game against Luton, but if we can get a win against Luton away at their ground, something I don't believe we've done before, and then go into that international break, we'll be full of confidence, and it'd be brilliant to get into that international break still in 2nd or 3rd position, somewhere around there anyway. That'd be a real testament to this team and would hopefully be a sign of things to come. I can only see this team getting better. This is the beginning of the journey. We've got so many new players who've come in, such a different style of football in the final third with, well, the opposition's half really with the one-touch passing. And as we've seen today, it's reaped the rewards. So hopefully many more to come, and let's bring on Luton.